Hi, this is Darryl Webster with another tip for your OneNote based class notebooks created with the OneNote Class Notebook Creator. In a previous video we learned how to turn some of your existing worksheets and handouts into a OneNote based page that can be used within your OneNote Class Notebook. Now we're going to look at how we might share those resources that we've created. You may want to share these resources with others in your department or your syndicate. So that might be the science department, or perhaps you work together with a few teachers in your primary school and you want to share these resources. Now what I've done is within our class site, I've gone up a level to the science department. So I do have a class site here, and that's our Year 10 class. And up within the science department level, I've created a couple of document libraries. So there is one that comes with the site as you create it. It's just our standard shared documents library, and you might want to use this to share other resources with students. So you're allowing students to access this library just as a read-only basis. However, with the department's resource catalogue, I've created another library called Teachers Document Library. And for this library, I'm only sharing it with teachers, not with students. So this might be a place that you also want to author your exams and keep them private. And also these resources that you don't want to share with students just yet. So I've created a OneNote notebook, and I'm going to use that to organize my OneNote class resources. Now if we go back to OneNote, I've created the department resource catalog and attached it to OneNote here. And if you recall, when I was creating my resources for trying to recreate the worksheets and handouts that you might have as hard copy or as a Word document, that I had created 4 different ones. And I was creating those resources within the Forces in Motion section of my notebook. So I'll just take you through some of the structure of this catalogue just so you can understand how I've laid it out. What I've done is created a section group within OneNote to organise all the different years that we teach science in our department. I've put together a little guide on this page to help some of my colleagues to know how to use this notebook. So we can say that the structure of it is it has a catalogue home page, and this page here could be this instructional guide, or it could be anything that can help you navigate the notebook. Just to say that it's organised by year or grade of class, and within that year we've got the module or topic of the science class that we teach. Within that there's the resource type. So within the class we will have lesson plans. So this is to guide the teacher and to know how to run their lesson. Handouts, worksheets as in homework, perhaps quizzes and some previous exams. Now if we look into the Year 10 folder where I created the resources last time in my previous video, I've created a table of contents to be able to get to the different sections or the different subjects that have been taught. And we're looking at Forces in Motion at the moment. And I'll just get some of these toolbars out of the way. So this is one of the resources that I created. So it's the friction worksheet, and I had created it in 4 different ways. I had printed to OneNote, I'd used a screen clipping, I had used a office lens or a camera to get that picture in there if it was a hard sheet or copy, and this was the end work. But I'm going to show you based on the resource that I created directly in OneNote. And if we look at the lesson plan to go with this lesson, I've also created this within OneNote so that we can guide the teacher as to what resources they might need, the goals of the lesson, perhaps some YouTube videos that you might want to share with the class. An activity, so in this activity we're looking at friction and how if we drag ties in a different configuration that it'll be a more difficult task. And you might use this area down below as a whiteboard in the sense that you can make your notes within class and share them in the notebook to be able to give your students a copy. So we've got our lesson plan and we've got our class handout. So this is in our our department resource catalogue. Let's just go through a scenario that got a class that we need to run, and it's based on Year 10 science, and we need to find a resource on friction. So we're going to use the search feature of OneNote, and what I've done is I've set my default for searching my notebooks to just this notebook. The default for OneNote, of course, is to search across all notebooks, but I've set this scope as the default so that when I'm in a notebook, because I know which notebook I need to look in, that I can find the resource that I'm after. So our result here, we've got a few pages and some learning outcomes and various sections. I've got multiple examples there of the worksheet because, of course, I created them in different ways. But this is a quick way to be able to find that resource that you're after using the power of OneNote search. Now that we've got that resource, we want to get that into our class notebook. So I'll just move that into a place where I can see those tabs. Here's a couple of options that you can use. You can use the drag and drop method to get this, but perhaps a better way to do it is just to copy the whole tab or the whole page within OneNote. Then we're looking at the lesson plan, so let's get over to our class notebook and we'll put that in our content section, because we don't necessarily want students to interact or to change the content of our lesson plan, but we do want to share any notes that we make within our class so that they can have a copy. So we'll go into our content library and just ignore the resource that I've got here. That's basically where the worksheet might be for the student to copy from. We'll get to that soon. But I'll paste this page within OneNote, and there's our lesson plan. And just to signify that this is my lesson on friction and this is my worksheet for friction, it's just then within my class the students know that this is my resources for running the lesson and this is the work that they need to do. Now, one other way that we could have got this worksheet and lesson plan into our notebooks, we'll go back a step back to our science catalogue, and rather than doing a copy and paste, we might use the move or copy function within OneNote. That will bring up a dialog box to be able to choose our notebook that we need to put it into. So I know I've got a lot of notebooks here because I'm a big user of OneNote, but I'm going to go into my Year 10 Science class and I'll go into the content library, and then I can choose the section that I want to copy the resource in. If you were using the drag and drop method, you're likely to copy the whole page away from the resource catalogue, so try to use the copy method, either copying the page or using that move and copy function that you see when you right click. Going back to our class notebook, how might we run the class and use this lesson plan? So we're back into our Year 10 Science class, and we'll just full screen this so that we can use it and make use of the full space. So we can talk through various things about the experiment. We can show the videos, of course, by clicking on the links. We can discuss the activity before we go outside to run the activity and talk about what we're going to do. And then we might also show our students or talk to them about various things like that friction's been measured in newtons. So we probably would turn on our our pen if we've got it available. We could talk about static friction versus kinetic friction, and we'll make some notes, and as we're noting this and displaying it on our data projector, all these notes are also being synchronized to the students' notebooks, and they're not ones that they can add to. So it's really just the teacher's way of communicating the lesson and what has happened. But we've got that section, and of course within the rest of our notebook, that's our content library. If we wanted to run a collaborative area of being able to add to this lesson and get some group feedback, then we might start a new page here and begin to start to get different students, group A and group B and C, and get some of their observations about how it was to carry the tyres. That students might begin to type on the page once they've done their experiment. So 3 tyres was heavy, and we'd get that result back from group A, and they could tell us a bit more about that. Then getting back to a lesson, we get back to a lesson plan, which is over here, and we do let the students know that there's some homework sheets to do, or a handout to work through. We could put a link to that handout to make sure that it launches and they can find it quite easily. But I'll just go through what a student might do at this stage. Remember, we've indented that page to show that it's a worksheet and that it's part of the lesson. And what students could do from their notebook, of course, they can see the content in the content section. They can't edit it, but what they can do now is copy that whole page, go into, let's say, Jack Sparrow's homework, and we'll paste it into here. And we'll get rid of the untitled page, of course. But now Jack can fill out the homework and tell us about friction, and whether it's a wanted friction or not. And then as that's been synchronized back to the teacher's copy of the notebook, this page is going to become bold, and you'll be able to see that Jack's completed his homework for friction within the lesson. So just to recap, we've got a science resource catalogue. It's sitting in our department document library. We've created a teacher's document library that's just for teachers. We've created a notebook where the other teachers within your department can connect to it, and they can access the resources that have been shared between teachers. We've got the notebook connected here with our resources. It has been organised into years and topics that we teach, and then within that topic, handouts, lesson plans, quizzes, etc. And then within that, teachers can copy the lesson to their notebook for their class notebook. They can also copy the homework into their class notebook, and then teachers can use that content and they can share it with their students as well. So that's one way to use OneNote as a catalogue for your department. We'll keep expanding on this idea because OneNote's very powerful. We can make use of that search to quickly find resources, and we'll look a bit more about what else we can do with resources within OneNote for our class notebooks. Thanks for watching.